Welcome back. All right, so continuing to look at all 32 teams as the offseason rolls along, and we are now over halfway through July. One of the interesting things when you're looking at the Pittsburgh Penguins is Kyle Dubas is still the interim general manager. And there's some debate about how long that's going to continue. Will he be general manager once we get to September, October? I guess we'll see, but clearly he at this point has his fingerprints on the team. It will be interesting to see who comes in to take over as general manager and when that takes place. Now, one headache that an incoming GM could have, one headache that Dubas has right now, is the team being above the salary cap and that they're still trying to improve. We know that they're trying to bring in Erik Karlsson. They'd love to get Karlsson. Now the latest rumor is there's going to have to be a third team to broker the trade. So basically, you launder Karlsson's contract through a third party, and then that way the cap hit for the Penguins isn't as bad, and obviously a player from the Penguins would be going the other way. And so we'll see how this all plays itself out. Now, in terms of exits from this past season, well, they're a team that believes that they can jump right back into the playoffs. So Dumoulin was let go, Paling's gone, Tokarski is one as well. But no major exits from this team in the offseason. A team that finished 17th in goals for and 18th in goals against. So a little bit below the average on both. But still close enough that if you believe this team was close, and they only missed the playoffs by a point, all this stuff, then there's reason enough here to believe they can bounce back. If you're on the other side and you believe that this is a sign that the team is starting that descent that every team does, then these moves in the offseason may not sway you very much. One thing to keep in mind is Mike Sullivan's record as Penguins head coach is fantastic. 337 wins, 187 regulation losses, 65 losses in overtime or shootouts. And this was the first full season that he's been behind. Well, it's the first season he's been behind the bench where the team has had a points percentage below 600, including the season where he took over and he didn't coach the entire season that year. And of course, back-to-back Stanley Cups in 2016 and 2017. Those do tend to give you a bit of a longer leash as a coach from your general manager. Now, when we look at the forward group for Pittsburgh, really it feels like this is going to be very veteran heavy. And we'll see how this all pans out for them. So you have Gensel on the left side. You have Riley Smith, who was added from Vegas, 32 years of age. Matt Nieto, Drew O'Connor as well. Almost said Logan. Drew O'Connor. And Vinny Hinostroza has been picked up on a one-year deal. I like Vinny. I do. But is this going to be a team that ends up making the playoffs? That's where the curiosity comes in. I don't think Hinostroza puts them over the top. Alex Nylander, John Gruden, who just signed an extension with them last week as well. And then you get down the middle. And whether Carter ends up playing down the middle or on the wing, I know there's Penguin fans that aren't happy with Jeff Carter. I would imagine there's others that are. I haven't seen them for a while, but Jeff Carter, I guess, could still bounce back, although at age 38, the odds start to kind of fall off a bit with that. So Crosby's 35 years of age, but he's coming off of an excellent season. 33 goals, 60 assists, 93 points. He's very good 5-on-5. He's one of the best forwards in the league 5-on-5. And for Crosby, could he be a 100-point producer? I wouldn't be surprised if he got 100 points at age 36. That wouldn't shock me at all. Malkin is 36, 27 goals, 56 assists, 83 points for him. And the tricky part is both Crosby and Malkin stayed healthy for Pittsburgh. So they're kind of going to be relying on them staying healthy for another year. And again, once you're in your mid-30s, that can get tricky. Carter only had 13 goals, 16 assists, 29 points. And again, at age 38, he's on the final year of his deal. Does that contract get moved as part of trying to bring in Karlsson? Maybe. Eller is there, of course. They signed him in the offseason. He's 34, and he should be the third-line center for this team, which then leaves Zahorna, who returns. And I know there were Penguin fans that liked him, and plenty that didn't. And then you've got Samuel Poulin here as well. So maybe Poulin ends up coming into the lineup, playing that fourth-line spot. Eller in the third line, maybe Carter's on a wing. But again, maybe Pittsburgh's not that done. And I say that because we know they are in on Karlsson. They could make that deal as early as today, once I have this video done. On the right side, you've got Brian Rust. He's 31 years of age. He'll be looking to bounce back. Raquel, really like Raquel quite a bit. I think going to Pittsburgh has helped his career. Granlund, age 31. I know there's people who don't like his contract. I understand. Achari has been added, and Janssen has been added. These two players, of course, ones that the Pittsburgh GM, Kyle Dubas, is quite familiar with. So this is a forward group that I think is pretty good. But, again, you're relying on health from Crosby and Malkin for 2 straight seasons. You're relying on a bit of a bounce back from rust, and you're also relying on some older players to avoid that dreaded drop-off you can see in production once you get into your mid-30s, right? And then you get to the blue line. You've got Graves, who's been added. A solid addition, I believe, to this blue line. Letang's age 36. He's signed for a while yet. Coming off of an up-and-down year, but considering everything off ice that could have been a distraction for him and all of the health and everything else that went on with him this past season, I think you give him a pass. You've got Pettersson. Petrie's 35. So, again, you've got 2 defensemen in their mid-30s there. Petrie may end up being part of a deal for Karlsson. That was a speculation a while back, just because from a contract perspective, it makes it somewhat easier for Pittsburgh to pick him up. Though, again, remember, they're currently over the cap. P.O. Joseph, Ruda. Ruda's 32 years of age, so that's solid 5'6". You've got Ty Smith, who has been retained on a 1-year extension by Pittsburgh. Ruhwedel's 33. He has an expiring contract as well. And Janssen's on for 1 year. Zahorna comes back for 1 year. Shea has an expiring contract. Butcher, brought in for a year. Remember Will Butcher? It feels like it's forever ago. Will Butcher was, a player who came in with a lot of hype and was actually pretty good out of the gate. Ruhwedel, 33 years of age on an expiring deal. Friedman's got an expiring deal. And Fadoon is still going, 35 years of age. He's in the final year of a deal as well. I like the depth on the blue line, but I can understand why they're in on Karlsson. The tricky part, of course, is Karlsson's in his 30s as well. So this is a team that's definitely going to be needing to win a Stanley Cup if they're going to win it over the next couple of seasons. Because beyond that, I don't think they'll be able to avoid the rebuild or retool. I think they're going to have to. Again, as long as Sullivan's behind the bench and as long as you've got Crosby and Malkin playing, they're going to be trying to win another one. But at some point in time, you've got to pivot, right? Jari had a .909 save percentage. Has to be healthy. And that's the trick with Jari. He has to be healthy for the full season. DeSmith is 31 years of age. He's in the final year of his contract. He had a .905 save percentage. He was very up and down. Both goaltenders up and down during the season. At times, the faith was in DeSmith. At times, the faith was in Jari. Nedeljkovic has been added. So's Hellberg. Hellberg's 32 years of age. And so you've got, are they going to carry 3 goaltenders, or are they going to waive Nedeljkovic and Hellberg and have them attending the net in Wilkes-Barre? I'll say this, if both Nedeljkovic and Hellberg get through waivers, that's pretty good goaltending for Wilkes-Barre right there, right? 2 experienced goaltenders. But I do wonder with Pittsburgh, have they done enough to get themselves A, above the playoff line, and B, potentially back into contention? So that's the question mark I have with Pittsburgh. I understand why they're doing it this way. I know there's people who disagree with it. But again, as long as you've got these 3 veterans in Crosby, Malkin, and Letang signed to long-term deals, you're trying to stay in contention and you're trying to stay above the playoff line. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Do they get Karlsson? This is one of those teams that's probably not done. If they don't get Karlsson, do they pivot and try to look at somebody else? Do they try to move out a contract and maybe add a guy like a Matt Dunbar? What do you think they do? Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.